Hannah Joseph was born in 1819. According to Nigella's family tree, her father was Coleman Joseph, a member of the Dutch Jewish community.
Well, I've always known that Anne, or Hannah Joseph, was born in Amsterdam, so that's not a surprise. But what I've often wondered about is where her family came from, because I read somewhere that many Dutch Jews, in fact, came from Spain, and they had been forced out of Spain. So I immediately seized upon this because it seemed to me tremendously exotic. You know, I always thought that my mother, who had slightly sort of olive skin and really jet black hair, did look like she could have been Spanish or something. I mean, my sister Thomasina was also dark-skinned, and the rest of us aren't. But I always felt that gave a certain sort of Olay quality to the family.
In the early 19th century, Amsterdam was one of the most liberal and popular havens for Jews fleeing anti-Semitism. Most refugees arrived from Central Europe. Collectively, they were known as Ashkenazi Jews. But there was another, much smaller group who'd fled persecution in Spain. They were called Sephardis.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
This is the group Nigella hoped she is descended from. She's come to Amsterdam's Sephardi synagogue to meet librarian Abraham Rosenberg.
The Sephardi community was much smaller than the Ashkenazi community, but also much wealthier. Many of those people who came here were representing trade firms.
Yes.
So they had some money behind them. The Ashkenazim, they came from Central Europe, and they were poor, and they remained poor, because they didn't have a tradition of large business. And there were very important cultural differences. The Sephardic Jews were part of the educational system and the culture in Dutch society. The Ashkenazi Jews, they were completely isolated
Yes.
from their Christian surroundings.
So what you're saying is that, in a way, there was more fluidity about the life
Yeah.
of the Sephardi Jews, and the Ashkenazi kind of kept, well, it's difficult to say this, in a way, kept a kind of ghetto mentality.
Yes,
more.
but they didn't have much choice. The Sephardi considered themselves as nobility,
Yes.
and they considered the Ashkenazi Jews even less than commoners. It was quite a difference.
Yes. I had absolutely no idea there was such a difference between the life of, say, a Sephardi Jew and an Ashkenazi Jew. I mean, there seems to be such a discrepancy in the two communities, and of course the thing I don't know is which community my lot came from, so that absolutely has to be my task now. I've just got to find out where they came from.
In search of her Sephardi connection, Nigella has come to the Amsterdam archive. Archivist Harman Schnell has found Hannah Joseph's birth certificate.
The birth date is the 10th of January, 1819. And she was born in the middle of the Jewish quarter. And her father was a shoemaker's apprentice. But I found her, but the name is not Hannah Joseph.
What's her name then?
Her name was Hannah Summers.
Summers. Why would that be changed?
Maybe because this was a difficult name in England. Many
Yeah.
people who moved to another country had names that were hard to pronounce.
And it is the same person, yes.
Yes, this is the same person.
Yeah.
And now you can also understand why the father was named Coleman in England. Because here his name is Koenraad Summers.
Oh, well, that's a much better name. You know, the thing is, I would presume, just seeing the name Summers, that to me it sounds more that it would be a Sephardi name than an Ashkenazi name. And yet, when I see that he was a shoemaker's apprentice, I suppose what I feel I've learnt today is that the sort of person in that job would be more likely to be an Ashkenazi Jew?
Well, the fact that he is a shoemaker's apprentice doesn't say much, because there were Sephardi and Ashkenazi shoemaker's apprentices in this area anyway. But when you look at the names, like Koenraad, then...
That looks quite Ashkenazi, doesn't
Then
it?
we go to the Ashkenazi
Yes.
direction. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Koenraad is a name that, in fact, Sephardis will never give to their sons.
Yeah.
Nater is absolutely Ashkenazi.
Yes.
To prove he's right, Harman calls up the 1851 Amsterdam census.
And this is the address.
In the document, all residents were required to state their religion.
Town of birth.
And when you state your religion, would you put kind of what branch?
Yes, exactly.
You would?
Of course, because being of one or of the other branch was very important, especially for the Sephardi.
Yes.
By 1851, Coleman and Hannah have already left for England, but other members of their family remain.
Right.
This is, of course, the name of the person, and the year of birth and place of birth, his marital status, and here is the religion, Dutch, Israelite, Ashkenazi Jews.
Yes. Okay, well, I've accepted that.
Okay.
Well, I have to say, I have to acknowledge that that has conclusively ended my romantic little dream about having exotic Spanish blood.
Can't say I'm massively surprised, but, you know, it would have been nice to have made that Iberian connection, but never mind.
Before she leaves, Nigella receives an unexpected phone call.
Hello? Yes?
It's Harman at the archive. He has some news on Hannah Joseph's father, Koenraad.
Okay, I'll just make my way to a cafe now then. Hello.
Hi.
That was very cloak and dagger. I need to know what you're up to.
Yeah, I must tell you that when people migrate to another country, that always interests me why. And therefore, I always look in the archives of police, of court, and this...
I don't like where this is going.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a copy of a court registration book with all the verdicts. And here you see Koenraad Joseph Summers, 48 years old, and this says that he was guilty of theft. And here it says that he was convicted 20th of April to 1.5 years in prison.
What kind of a sum of money or whatever would he have stolen? Can you tell from that?
No. The problem is, he went for an appeal. And this appeal was for the High Court in The Hague. So that meant that all the papers, the documents that had to do with this case, were sent to The Hague for this appeal.
So I'm off to The Hague then.
Yes!
Okay.